Have you ever felt like you your own biggest obstacle, the one thing standing between you and the life you want? What if the mountain you climbing is you? Self-sabotage often hides behind fear, doubt, the old beliefs we didn't even choose. But yes, they get news. The same forces that hold you back can become the fuel that drives you forward. Today, let us uncover why we do see how to turn those hidden fears into unstoppable strengths. Welcome back to Book of Action, the place where big ideas spark big breakthroughs. Today, we diving into The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. This isn't just another self-help book, it's a powerful guide that shows how the obstacles in your life might actually be coming from within. We explore why self-sabotage happens, what it really means, and most importantly, how to transform it into self-mastery. If you've ever felt stuck, this book might just be your blueprint for change. The Mountain as Self. In The Mountain Is You, Brianna Wiest uses a powerful metaphor. The mountain isn't out there. It's inside of us. It represents our deepest internal obstacles, the patterns we repeat, the fears we cling to, the self-defeating behaviors that quietly sabotage our growth. What makes this mountain so difficult to climb? It's often built from conflicting needs. On one hand, we crave success, connection, and purpose. But on the other, we fear the very things that come with them. Visibility, responsibility, vulnerability. We say we want change, yet we hold on to the comfort of what's familiar, even when it no longer serves us. Self-sabotage isn't random. It's a strategy, a protective mechanism designed to keep us safe. But safe often means stuck. The key isn't to fight the mountain, but to understand why it exists, and then use that knowledge to transform it. In this episode, we'll explore how to uncover those hidden fears, reframe them, and turn them into your greatest strengths. Because the truth is, you're not just climbing the mountain, you are the mountain. And once you master yourself, there's nothing left to stand in your way. Root causes: fear, protection, and healing. Brianna Wiest reframes self-sabotage in a way that completely changes how we see it. It's not failure. It's not laziness. It's actually a form of protection. Your subconscious mind working overtime to shield you from what it perceives as danger. That danger isn't always physical. It's often discomfort, uncertainty, or the fear of change. When you procrastinate on a big opportunity or talk yourself out of taking that next step, it's not because you're broken. It's because some part of you believes staying where you are is safer than moving forward. These patterns usually trace back to deep emotional wounds or early conditioning, beliefs you absorbed long before you even realized they were shaping your choices. Maybe you learned that success meant losing connection, or that failure meant rejection. The problem? What once kept you safe is now keeping you stuck. But here's the good news. These behaviors aren't permanent. When you recognize that self-sabotage is really self-protection, you can start to work with it instead of against it, healing those roots and rewriting those beliefs. That's when transformation begins, and the mountain in front of you finally starts to move. Recognizing the patterns. Self-sabotage isn't always obvious. It often disguises itself as habits we mistake for personality traits or even strengths. Brianna Wiest points out some of the most common signs, and they might sound familiar. Perfectionism, for example, seems like striving for excellence, but in reality it's a fear of failure that keeps you from starting or finishing what truly matters. Then there's chronic resistance, that inner voice whispering, "Not now," every time an opportunity appears. Uprooting is another subtle form, constantly changing jobs, relationships, or environments whenever things start to feel stable, because deep down, stability feels threatening. And let's not forget emotional avoidance, numbing with distractions, work, or even positivity, just to escape feelings that need to be processed. These behaviors aren't random. They're coping mechanisms your mind created to keep you safe. But here's the truth. The very patterns designed to protect you are the same ones holding you back. The first step toward change isn't harsh discipline, it's awareness. When you can recognize these behaviors for what they are, you take away their power, because the moment you see the pattern, you can break it. And that's where transformation begins. Transformative strategies. Brianna Wiest doesn't just describe the problem. She gives us practical tools to transform self-sabotage into self-mastery. The first step is releasing what she calls the emotional backlog. These are the unprocessed feelings you've been carrying, fear, shame, grief, that weigh you down like invisible anchors. Instead of burying them, you need to face them. How? Through practices like meditation, journaling, or even simple breathing exercises that create space for those emotions to move through you, instead of controlling you. Once you've lightened that emotional load, the next step is what Wiest calls embracing micro-shifts. Too often we fail because we try to overhaul everything at once. But lasting change doesn't come from massive leaps. It comes from small, consistent steps. Maybe it's 5 minutes of reading instead of an hour of scrolling. Maybe it's choosing water instead of soda. One small change each day builds momentum, and over time, those tiny steps compound into transformation. The mountain isn't conquered in one giant leap. It's climbed one deliberate step at a time, and every small shift you make moves you closer to the life you want. Embracing imperfection and inner growth. Another core theme in The Mountain Is You is the idea of embracing imperfection. We live in a culture obsessed with perfection, but Wiest reminds us that the cracks are where the light gets in. When things fall apart, when you experience a breakdown, it isn't always a sign of failure. In fact, it can be what she calls a form of positive disintegration, a necessary unraveling that clears the way for something greater to emerge. Think about it. Transformation rarely happens when life feels comfortable and predictable. It happens in the tension, in the discomfort, in the moments when old structures collapse and you're forced to rebuild. Those moments aren't the end. They're the beginning. By accepting your flaws, mistakes, and setbacks as part of being human, not as verdicts on your worth but as invitations to evolve, you move from fighting yourself to working with yourself. And that shift changes everything. The battle isn't against who you are, it's about becoming who you're meant to be. When you stop seeing imperfection as a weakness and start seeing it as the pathway to growth, that's when you finally begin climbing your mountain. So, what is the big takeaway? The greatest mountain you ever climb is not out each within. Self-sabotage is not your enemy. Each is a signal. Each is your mind as a way of saying something needs your attention. Instead of ignoring each or fighting each, learn to listen. Start by spotting your patterns. Where do you hold yourself back? Then, name the emotions underneath fear, doubt, or even the need for safety. Finally, lean into small, consistent changes. Big transformations don't happen overnight, they happen one microshift at a time. The Mountain Is You challenges us to stop resisting ourselves and start working with ourselves. When you turn that resistance into resilience, the climb becomes possible. In doing so, you don't just conquer the mountain, you become the hero of your own story. If this video sparks something in you, give each a thumbs up and subscribe for more book-based deep dives to elevate your mindset. I'd love to hear from you what one self-sabotaging pattern you ready to change. Share each in the comments and let us start a conversation. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a new climb till the top. Until next time, keep moving forward because the view is worth each. EUV got this.